Awesome, guys. So we got the vision, the idea, what wealth means here in the business, how to build an asset. Now we're going to get down to the nitty gritty, the technical side of things. I'm going to talk to you guys about how you can get wide, the things you can do to get wide and focus on a day-to-day, what the webinar system to utilize and help you get there. So let's get into that. All right, guys. So I know there's a lot of different ways that you can get wide now that we've transitioned to being online. A lot of people have been utilizing the webinar system. And so there is a recruiting process, recruiting flow is what I like to call it. And you got to just master this and then repeat it as many times as possible. So when we start off, obviously everything starts with prospecting. When you think about the 7 fundamentals of Primerica, prospecting is number 1, because if you're not prospecting, meeting people with a purpose, then nothing else is going to come into your business. You're not going to get recruits. You're not going to find clients, so on and so forth. You always got to meet somebody, get a new contact, and that leads to everything. So that's number 1. We'll talk about some ways to do that, how to get directly wide through that. Then you got to call these people, send them text or message them if you're using social media. We're going to talk about that briefly. There is a webinar and 20-minute video that you guys can utilize once you actually schedule something with them. Then you want to do a follow-up after they watch the video. And then after the follow-up, close them, get them started, get them to give it a shot, right? Just give it a try. And then schedule their orientation right away. And then do their fast start meeting. The fast start meeting is going to help you get their list, right? And get them started, get them out in the field, help them get new teammates right away. And then you just repeat the process over and over and over and over as quickly and as much as you can, right? So with that, that's the flow. So let's dive into it deeply here. So I kind of created this message. I was talking with one of our studs, Marin, and she's reaching out to a ton of people on her Facebook, social media. And so I was like, what are you saying? Like, what are you sending out? And so she sent me a little blurb. And so I kind of just edited it and made it kind of similar and added a little tweak to it. But this is what I'm saying. This is just an idea, guys, but you got to be creative. You always have to be in the creative stages, and don't be like, oh, I've been here forever, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. If somebody's doing something and it's successful, pick their brain and figure out how it can work for you. So on my Facebook, my warm market, not people that I don't know, people that I do know, this is what I'm kind of sending. So like, hey, Josh, happy 2021. Hope you and your family are doing well, staying safe and healthy. Not sure if you're aware or not, but Mike and I have our own business and we're running a financial firm, and we're looking for new talent who would like to work remotely. Just curious, when it comes to work or income opportunities, do you keep your options open? So very straightforward message. You can send it out. When I was talking to Marin, what she was saying is like, if they say yes, great, we can schedule them for a webinar or the 20-minute animated video. If they say no, they may refer some people. If not, she's doing a little like Facebook group thing, like providing financial education. She kind of just adds them to that. I just say, okay, great. Well, would you mind if I just follow up with you in the future about any financial education or planning if you're open to it? Yeah, sure. Or try to set the QA if they're interested in that too. But this is a warm market way to do this. People have Instagram. I don't really know if you could do this on Twitter, but these are just ways that you can reach out to your warm market. If you don't have social media, you can send this as a text. Just go through your phone, A to Z. Don't be scared. People in Primerica call this your chicken list. Reach out to everybody in your phone, every single person, and just send the message and just see what they say. You never know, right? So that's warm market. Next is face-to-face. So out and about. So I don't do this as often anymore, but I know Josh and Lilix kill it when they're out and about. They're always out and about talking to people. It's funny. That's how Josh actually met Marin. He prospected somebody at a gym and then got introduced to Marin, and then the story was written, right? So she's killing it right now. So always if you're out and about, talk to people. Just ask, hey, I was just wondering if you could help me out really quick. My husband and I, or if it's just you, I say run a financial services. If you're just getting started, you can say, I help run a financial services firm in the area, and we're currently expanding, looking for people. Do you know anyone that might be looking for part-time or full-time work? Part-time or full-time work? And at that point, you're asking for other people, right? And they may say, oh, yeah, I know someone, or not really. Okay, well, what about you? What do you do now? And then you find out, oh, I work at this gym. How long you been there? 6 years. Oh, awesome. Well, would you ever keep your options open for extra income if it was flexible and made sense? Yeah, sure. Get their number. You can do that as many times. You go to the grocery store, anywhere, out with your kids, just talk to people, right? So that's face-to-face prospecting. LinkedIn, this is my go-to, guys. This is all I do really on a regular basis. I do some Steam calls, which I'm going to go through that script as well. But LinkedIn has become my number one form of prospecting. Josh said, find 3 that you're good at. So as far as getting wide for myself, I use LinkedIn prospecting. I'm reaching out to my warm market, and then I do some Steam calls. I know some people in our office have called resumes in the past. Those are my 3 major ways to get wide, right? Obviously, I build through the team, like Josh was saying, getting depth, and that's calling your new recruits warm market. But these are specific ways to get wide yourself. So this is my LinkedIn message. Hey, Mike, thanks for accepting my connection. If you guys don't know how to LinkedIn prospect, I think I did another training on it. But reach out to your leaders if you have any questions about it later on. Just you can send me a message directly. But when I send the message to someone, hey, Mike, thanks for accepting my connection. I'm curious if you'd be open to an opportunity with my financial firm. I'm hiring nationally and offering remote roles, either part-time or as another stream of income, or even full-time. Due to COVID-19, there's been a ton of changes across many industries. And this could be a great option because it allows you to work from home in a professional and recession-proof industry. Your profile shows that you have some of the experience I look for, and I would love to meet with you. Due to the requirements to attain a state license, any potential team members must at least have a green card or a citizen and be able to use Zoom. I say that because I was running into people that were on visas, didn't have any of that information, so I put it in there. We have a corporate webinar that's required as a prerequisite with our head broker, and he covers all the details and answers most people's questions.
Sophia, there's some blue vans.
Oh, guys, mute yourself, please. All right, so yeah, so with that, most people on either, and you give them some dates and times. So usually like the next couple days. So today is Saturday. So we have a webinar available on Sunday at 2 or 7, and then Monday at 10 or 2, right? So give them times that you're available to do a follow-up immediately after. Don't give them times where you're not going to be able to do the follow-up right after. Then following the webinar, I'll meet with you on Zoom for a brief interview and follow-up to see if it could be a mutual fit for both you and our company. Please send me a good contact number and email address if you'd like more details for the webinar and which date and time you would prefer. So I know it may be a long message, but I honestly got tired. I used to just send the first part of the message and then wait to see if someone responded. But then they'd be like, okay, well, what days? And then I have to have this back and forth conversation about which days and times. So I just put everything in one message, and now I get responses back with, yeah, I'd be interested. Name, number, date, and time. Boom, set. I don't have to do anything else. I just schedule them and then say, okay, well, great. If you want to do 2 p.m., I can do your follow-up at 2:45. Does that work? Perfect. There we go. On and moving. So I do that. I send out sometimes 50 messages a day, depending on how many connections I have from that. So that's how I mainly prospect, is through LinkedIn. Then Steam calls. So let's say I'm not getting a lot of responses back or connections on LinkedIn, then I will go back to my previous best way of prospecting for me, which was calling resumes. So a Steam call is what Shaq and Samir basically built their business on. They would just always be calling people. They run this. They'd use this script sometimes when they're calling recruits warm market. But if they're out and about, they would kind of use a portion of this as well. If they were, they used to just pick up sometimes business cards from restaurants, whatever, and they would just call people, right? And so This is the Steam script. The full script is actually available. Talk to your trainer upline to get the full script, but this is just a portion of it. So Jada, I actually help run a, well, hi, can I please speak to Jada? Yes, it's Jada, great. Hey, I help run a financial services company called PFS Investments. Are you familiar with us? Yeah, or no? Okay, well, we're actually the largest financial services organization in the country. We actually work together with other companies like MetLife, AIG, Lincoln Financial, and American Funds. I'm sure you've heard of some of those, right? Yeah, definitely. Okay, awesome. Well, right now I help run a division and we're going through an expansion phase. So we're looking to train and develop about 25 quality people that can help us either part-time or full-time. And I add in with remote opportunities from home. So if I have a resume, I won't say, what do you do right now for work? If you don't know what they do, then you ask. But if you have a resume, I would say, hey, are you still working at the restaurant right now full-time? Yeah, okay, great. How long have you been doing that? 5 years, so on and so forth, right? Then they'll say, do you enjoy it? Yeah, hey, it pays the bills. Okay, well, would you ever keep your options open to making additional income if it was flexible and around your schedule? Of course, right? So once you get the yes and they're open, then you want to transition into inviting them to a webinar. So this is usually kind of what I say. You don't have to say it word for word, but this is kind of what I say. So what I'd like to do is just schedule an initial webinar with our broker in order for someone to qualify with a one-on-one meeting with me. Our broker requires that you complete this webinar with him. So he'll go over a lot of information with you, Jada, about the company, what we do for families, the structure, compensation, and the licensing. And the webinar is about 40 minutes. Our next available time with him is later today or tomorrow, which is better for you. Tomorrow. Okay, great. We can do either 10 a.m. or 2 p.m. Which is best? 2? Okay, perfect. So since our broker will not be answering a lot of questions, I'll cover those in a one-on-one meeting with me on Zoom. Have you ever used Zoom before? Yeah, of course. Like my kids, my family, everyone's using Zoom. Perfect. It's usually the best if you use Zoom on a computer. Would you be available at 2:45 for the follow-up? Yeah, perfect. Well, I just need your full name, email address to send you the details for both meetings. Then they tell me, thank you so much. I look forward to speaking with you then. That's it. So Steam script into inviting to the webinar. If you prospect someone out and about, you might be able to schedule some people schedule right away. If not, and you call them later, you literally can just say this part. You might not even have to say the whole first section. You can just book them. When you prospect somebody face to face and they say yes and they're ready to go, they're already interested. You don't need to explain too much more. You just need to schedule them, right? So sometimes people want to give too much information on the front end. Sorry, I have something in my eye. On the front end, and then that leads to so many more questions. The webinar that we have, if you guys haven't used it, and if you're new, I know we have a lot of new people growing within the hierarchy. So use Shaq's webinar. If you haven't seen it, a lot of you guys have probably been recruited from watching that webinar or the 20-minute video, animated video. Watch them. Watch it over and over so you know exactly what's in it, because then you'll know you don't need to explain much. Just get them on the webinar. The webinar will explain everything, and then all you have to do is follow up. So that is how I invite people to the webinar. Now, for the webinar, because we're obviously not meeting people face to face, you got to confirm, right? So I usually call an hour before to confirm, if possible. So I'll just call and say, hey, Trishana, this is Chanel. I was just calling you to confirm that you received the webinar link from our broker Shaquille for 2 p.m. today. Great. I look forward to speaking with you at the follow-up at 2:45. Did you also get my Zoom details? Perfect. Great. Just a confirmation. If they answered the phone, perfect. If they don't answer, I send a confirmation text message basically saying the same thing. Hey, I was just calling you earlier just to confirm that you received the link. I also wanted to make sure you got my Zoom details. Please confirm ASAP. If they confirm, most likely they'll be on the webinar. If they don't confirm, don't get your hopes up, right? This is a law of large numbers business. This is a find quality through quantity business. Don't get tied up on one webinar, guys. You got to be booking multiple webinars a day or throughout the week. If one person doesn't answer, they're lost. Follow up with them maybe later. They may call you back later, but if they don't answer, most likely they're not going to be on there, right? So you just have to have that mindset ahead of time. 10 invites will lead to 4 people showing. Out of the 4 people showing, 1 person will move forward. So always keep those numbers in your mind. Now, the follow-up process. So this is after they watch the webinar. This is my follow-up process. Different trainers, different leaders may have different follow-up processes. Some of them may be short. This is what I teach my team to do, so on and so forth. So let's say they get off and I'm following up with Mike. So, hey, Mike, thank you so much. So now I'm on Zoom. Guys, I don't do follow-ups over the phone. Some people do follow-ups over the phone after the webinar. That's completely fine. I meet with them on Zoom. So here, hey, thanks, Mike, so much for completing the webinar with Shaq. What I'd like to do now is find out a little bit more about you, tell you a little bit about me, since if this will be a mutual fit, I'll be the one responsible for training you. Then we'll talk about the different path, which path would be best for you, and then address any questions that you may have, right? And then I'll ask them a little bit about them, so on and so forth, go through that. Once I finish all the questions, and figuring out which paths they would choose. If it's like path 1, I just want to become a client, get my financial plan. Path 2, I want to just be part-time. Or path 3, I want to be I'm excited about part-time, but I would love to transition to full-time and have a business here. Figure out that path, and then I discuss the licensing process, right? If they don't have any questions. So I say, hey, my licensing process is very simple. It's 4 steps. Number 1, we got to submit your application and background check so we can get you your study materials, talk about how much it would cost for that, so on and so forth. Then we want to get you scheduled immediately, 24 to 48 hours for an orientation with our Vice President, Samir. Then after that, I'll meet back with you on Zoom to go over our fast start meeting, which is basically like your onboarding. We're going to talk about training, your availability, your schedule, how I'm going to help you build your team and your client base. And then from there, we'll start your field training. So field training is critical for you to learn this business. You're going to have to watch me do about 10 training presentations with people that are qualified. So either married couples or kids, those are the people that's like pretty much our target market. And then also we have trainings on Saturday mornings from 9:30 to 11:30. So I go through that 4-step licensing process, see if they have any questions on any of that. If they don't, then I'll say, all right, Mike, my last questions for you is, would you have any issues passing a background check? Nope, I'm clear. Great. Would you be able to take care of the 124? Yeah, I think I can do that. Perfect. Is there anything that would prevent you from being at Saturday training and investing about 8 to 10 hours a week? No. Okay, great. Well, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, how would you rate your desire to pursue the licenses with us part-time and give it a try? Oh, a 10 out of 10. Perfect. Great. Let's take care of the application, and then I'll log on to POL, share my screen, have them fill it out. Boom. There you go. Right. So that is my typical follow-up process. Now, if they have questions or anything afterwards, if they're not ready to move forward, I may do a couple other things. I may schedule a QA if they're qualified, if they want to learn more about if they want to learn more about the products. If they're single, no kids, and they just want more information, well, I just want to know a little bit more about what you guys do. Great, I'll schedule them for an orientation. If they have real bad troubles with money and they're like, oh, I don't know. Okay, well, when would you be able to take care of it? My next paycheck, when is that? 2 weeks from now? Okay. All right. Well, we'll follow up. I'll touch base with you. You said it'll be on the 5th. Okay, great. What time can we meet back on Zoom? And then I'll meet back with them at that point. But if someone's not ready to go right now and it's going to be weeks before they can get started, I just put them on the back burner. That's me. Some people move forward. Some people offer the scholarship program. But for me, I'm looking for the people that are ready to go right now. So that's my follow-up. And then from there, we're going to schedule the orientation, like I said earlier, within 24 to 48 hours. So this is also part of the webinar system, guys. The orientation is on Webinar Jam. So the times that are available for that is usually 10 a.m., 2 p.m., or 9 p.m. I don't really utilize the 9 p.m. that often, but 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. are my go-tos, because then I know I can do their fast start meeting after at about 12, or if they do 2, I can do a fast start meeting at 4. Those are my usual times that I will do that after the orientation. So with that, so yeah, who was that? Willie Will this training? Yeah, so this training that we're doing right now will also be available on YouTube. It's recorded, so it'll be on there. But yeah, so we'll get them scheduled for a time. If you guys are trying to really build a business, you got to have a solid schedule. You got to know when you're going to be doing fast start meetings, follow-ups, what times of the day you're going to be doing these webinars or your preference. And then obviously what times of the day you're going to be doing QA. So when you start training people, you know your schedule and they know your schedule. You can't build this business where your schedule's all over the place. You don't really know when you have time to do this or that, because once you start getting a lot of people, it really starts moving. So you have to set your schedule first and know exactly when you're going to do things. So then when you start get people going, they know your schedule. They know your availability. Hey, Chanel, I know that you're only able to do these things usually in the morning because you have QAs in the evening, so on and so forth. Great. But you got to start with getting your schedule in place. So orientation, when I tell people, is just the second part of the interview, more in-depth details on how to get trained and licensed. Advise them to take notes and write down any questions that they may have from Samir. And then, like I said, schedule the fast start meeting right afterwards. So once you do that, guys, you get the list. And then you start building a team for them and going deep, like I said, like Josh said earlier, and you repeat the process. You repeat the process. So this is typically, guys, what I do to get wide. I think I got 6 directs this month. It's just do this. I think some of them came from resumes, some of them came from LinkedIn, but I just do this as much as I can, even though I'm building teams right now. I always have to focus on constantly getting wide. So I don't only have the situation that Josh was talking about where you only have a couple legs, right? If we're going to go RVP as a team, we got to be very wide and have strong legs, multiple legs. And so I'm always looking at finding new directs. So any questions, guys? You can go ahead and post them in the chat. I already answered the one that we had earlier, but any other questions?
You want to stop the recording?